Alright. What's going on, everyone? It's your boy. So, this is, this is definitely off schedule. I am still working on Gojo vs. Aizen for you guys. There's a lot of research going into that, so if you're wondering why I'm doing this before that, that's pretty much why. That one's gonna take a lot to get through. But yeah, today I kind of just wanted to go into the plans of Kenjaku and Sukuna and how they're working together and have been pretty much the entire story. Yeah, and if you guys want to follow me on anything else, I'll be Twitch streaming probably tomorrow when Renata Glask is released on League of Legends, just answering questions, talking, hanging out. Or you could join the Discord server. I'll leave, links and kind of ways to get in the description. Now, to break this off early, Kenjaku and Sukuna, obviously, they've been working together for a very long time, if they are, right? And I've thought this since we saw Kenjaku reveal himself in Shibuya, but I also used to think this was just a conspiracy theory. But I guess the more the series has gone on, the more I realize it's absolutely not. In this video, I'll kind of show you why this is the most reasonable conclusion to come to, and how the author has been trying to pretty much slap us silly with this realization, with this dynamic between Kenjaku and Sukuna. Now, first off, we have Kenjaku being known as the most evil sorcerer in all of history, and I do mean all of history, as even though his age is unknown, we do know he's been a factor in the verse since before the Golden Age, and he potentially predates Sukuna himself. So they would have had ample opportunity to run into each other and start these plans off early. And it's wild that he got the status of the most evil, as we're finding out there were some pretty nasty curse slingers throughout most of history, especially the Golden Age, and even in modern times. And Kenjaku seemingly got this reputation for, more than one reason, but his main claim to evil fame was his human experimentation and the abuse of his wives and other women he could find for, these experiments. We know Kenjaku wanted to create what is currently called cursed wombs, or cursed paintings. These cursed wombs are, they're powerful for the most part, as seen with like Chozo and the Butterfly Man, both of whom demonstrated power beyond the baseline special grade curses. But Kenjaku did not create these cursed wombs for just raw power. It would make more sense for Kenjaku to make these cursed wombs in an attempt to make some sort of, or it would make no sense for Kenjaku to make these wombs to create some kind of army. It would just take too long, and I won't go into detail as to how he's creating these cursed wombs, because it's pretty disgusting stuff, and it's definitely demonetization bait, but just know that it's the reason he's called the most evil sorcerer in history. So, why would Kenjaku want to make these cursed wombs otherwise? Well, for Sukuna. Now, when we first see Yuji eat Sukuna's finger, Megumi expects Yuji to just die from ingesting it like basically anyone else would. However, Yuji turns out to be a fit vessel for Sukuna. So the natural question is, why, how, and what the fuck? Well, the answer is that Yuji is a cursed womb himself, and apparently the only successful one Kenjaku ever made. We know Yuji is a cursed womb for 3 reasons. Chozo recognizes Yuji as his brother, the same way he sees the other wombs as his brothers, and this is shown in a few ways. He gets similar urges that he gets from his other brothers dying. He also has this weird fake flashback when he's about to kill Yuji, and it stops him from killing Yuji based on brotherly instinct, I guess. And no, for the original conspiracy theorists that we're thinking this is Yuji's secret domain expansion or secret innate technique that he creates false memories, that is absolutely not the case. I'm pretty sure the author has said as much. So that's the first reason. The second reason is that Kenjaku refers to Yuji as his son and his only non-failure, right? And Kenjaku refers to Yuji as his son in a non-Discord packing match context, so he means this literally, right? And the third reason is the most important and concrete. So Yuji has a flashback dream in which we find out Yuji's mom is actually Kenjaku, and that his grandfather tried to warn his father of the fuckery that was afoot, and obviously he didn't listen, because apparently both of Yuji's parents are dead. So Yuji is absolutely a cursed womb, based on all of this. Now, why does this help Sukuna? Well, because Sukuna needs a vessel to be fully revived through his fingers. Yuji was made to be that vessel and deliberately placed near Sukuna's fingers, until such a time when he would either be attracted to these fingers naturally, or presumably Kenjaku would have forced Yuji to eat the fingers if he took too long. And we know Kenjaku made these cursed wombs to be vessels for Sukuna, as he refers to all the other cursed wombs as failures, except for Yuji, the only one who's a successful vessel for Sukuna. And of course, this leads us to two questions. Why is he trying so hard to give Sukuna a vessel? And when the hell did they plan this out? Right? Well, both of these are already answered by Kenjaku himself. As to why he's doing this, during the end of the Shibuya incident, Kenjaku explains his desire to advance cursed energy as a whole by unleashing cursed spirits and empowering more Jujutsu sorcerers, effectively bringing about the new golden age of sorcery. He believes the more cursed energy beef you create, the stronger cursed energy gets. On that note, no one, and I mean absolutely no one, wanted more smoke than Sukuna. Sukuna was beefing with the entire verse at one point, and the Golden Age sorcerers literally all made it their mission to beat this man, and they didn't have enough hands to deal with him, like, by himself, right? If you unleash him on top of, what did Kenjaku have? I think 10 million cursed spirits, which has to be a mistranslation. I know the official Viz translation says that Kenjaku unleashed 10 million cursed spirits at the end of Shibuya. This has to be a mistranslation. This is ridiculous, right? But, that aside, naturally, Sukuna's on board with this plan because it ends with him, getting, I guess, freely starting shit with everyone again, like he used to. And we know this is actually what Sukuna wants. When he thought he was revived the first time, the first thing he says is, "Where are the women and children? I'ma get to Merkin." Like, it's so blatant with Sukuna, like what he's about, what he's going to do if he's revived. There's no ambiguity, like, at all. Now the second question here is, when did Kenjaku and Sukuna plan this out? Well, as we went over earlier, and as it's kind of been shown, he's been around. Kenjaku has been around for well over, 1,000 years. And Kenjaku actually brings this up too. And no one seems to have ever caught this. Not that I've seen anyway. Again, when Kenjaku is doing his villain monologue towards the end of Shibuya, he explains that over 1,000 years ago, he was making deals with sorcerers and cursed users, and finally clearing up this misconception that Kenjaku is only 150 years old. And for those that don't know, there's this extremely common misconception that Kenjaku's real identity is Noritoshi Keimo, when in fact Noritoshi is just he's like Geto. He's a victim of Kenjaku body swapping with him, right? So Kenjaku just took over Noritoshi's body at some point. And Kenjaku referring to deals and vows he made thousands of years ago definitely proves that he predates the 150-year-old Noritoshi. So let's put that to bed. That drives me crazy. So, Sukuna happens to fall into both categories of cursed users and sorcerers, because apparently he can use, I guess, both variations. Although I don't even know if there's really a distinction between cursed users and Jujutsu sorcerers, other than it's kind of like Jedi and Sith. They use the same force powers and whatnot. Just one's good and one's evil. Now, that being said, on top of that, Sukuna was just a human, using mastered cursed techniques and mastered cursed energy, even in his King of Curses form with the 4 arms. And we know that some sort of deal was struck with Sukuna before he died that allows him to live on in those fingers until he can be revived. An extremely powerful binding vow, in fact. So powerful that not even Gojo can destroy these fingers at this point. So, who did he make the binding vow with? Well, the person that Sukuna would have to make the vow with would have, he'd have to be over 1,000 years old. Someone who is powerful, calculating, pretty much the most evil sorcerer in all of history. I think you see where I'm going with this. So just to sum this up, Kenjaku wants to advance cursed energy by, unleashing as much chaos and cursed energy and cursed spirits as possible, and then getting Sukuna out on top of it. He made a deal with Sukuna to make it possible to revive him later on when, he had a suitable vessel for him. Kenjaku made a suitable vessel with Yuji. Kenjaku is now working with Sukuna and, Urame to revive him and keep his plan in motion. If you're wondering who Urame is, it's kind of complicated, and I'll explain it in another video soon, but it's Sukuna's assistant for now. That's all you really need to know. Now from here, it's anyone's guess how much, either Kenjaku or Sukuna can really be trusted, but I would say Sukuna is much more trustworthy than Kenjaku, just based on how openly Sukuna wears his personality and his desires on his sleeve, and Sukuna is said to, be a being only swayed by his desires. Therefore, I guess, in this case, making him a very honest person, because he's pretty honest that, he desires to just kill women and children and, just be this horrible person all the time. He's pretty open about it. However, Kenjaku's very different here. He's been extremely consistent in his track record of manipulation and disloyalty, betraying even, his closest allies, leaving them to die in situations he caused. The best example of this is him manipulating Jogo to go fight Gojo early on by playing off his pride and his arrogance, and then refusing to instruct Hanami or any of his supposedly 10 million cursed spirits to go help Jogo. Now, and even further to this, Kenjaku actually proves how trifling he is when he decides to just absorb Mahito instead of helping him, and goes on to say he intended to do the same to Jogo. And this just shows his lack of humanity or even appreciation for their assistance throughout his plans, right? Of course, this means he likely won't play well with Sukuna either. Now, I mean, we have to ask ourselves, does Sukuna know this? Yeah, definitely. 100%. Sukuna is consistently shown to be observing and analyzing everything and everyone Yuji interacts with specific focus on the most powerful among them, the only exception really being Megami. And he has some unknown reason for wanting Megami. And obviously, he also has a vested interest in Kenjaku's behavior for obvious reasons. Now, Sukuna is likely playing along with Kenjaku's plans until he's revived, and he's probably confident, rightly so, that he can kill Kenjaku once he's fully alive. This kind of gets into headcanon territory, but Sukuna was the undisputed king of the Golden Era, both because every sorcerer tried to step to him and lost, and he was also the king of curses, meaning that he was above all the cursed spirits in that era as well, supposedly the greatest, most powerful era of Jujutsu sorcery. And Kenjaku has no such scaling to put him above the entire Golden Age. And his Uzumaki full of curses doesn't really help him much against the king of curses. And that's with me assuming he has the strongest curses to ever exist in his arsenal, which is just untrue, because Rika pretty much outscales every curse in the Golden Age, since it should outscale young Gojo. Now, my hot takes aside, and power scaling aside, this seems to be the plan between Kenjaku and Sukuna. I think it's amazing storytelling. I think it's extremely unique and fresh, and adds a layer to the story that has been, I guess, right under our noses from the beginning. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say to you guys. That's where we're at with, Kenjaku and Sukuna's plans. Kenjaku really wants to revive Sukuna just to add to, I guess, the pressure he's pushing on the rest of the world to pretty much just build themselves up with cursed energy to bring about, another golden era of Jujutsu sorcery. As far as the culling games, I'm going to be doing a whole video on what's going on with that. It would play into the plans a little bit, but not enough to where I think it needs to be in this video. And this video is long enough, so I guess we're going to have a separate one on that. But yeah, all that being said, guys, before I go, definitely check out the Twitch. I'm going to be streaming again probably tomorrow. It'll be today, actually. Yeah. I will be streaming on, Friday, one way or the other. I just don't know when I'm uploading the video. And then again, links to the Patreon are, in the description, Discord, all that stuff. You guys want to, reach out, support. That's the best way to do it. And again, Gojo versus Aizen in the works. we are on that. I'm going to be trying to make sure that I can get that out as soon as possible. But that one takes a lot because it's a crazy matchup, and there's a lot of research to be done. Just for those that don't know, I'm reading all of Bleach for that. So, all that being said, guys, be safe. Take it easy.